Hello, my name is Stacia Sickle, and I am the Director of Livingston's Grief and Bereavement Program. I have prepared something for those of you who are interested in learning how to best support a child or teen grieving the death of a loved one. Our society struggles to support grievers. The lack of support can cause isolation and misunderstanding, especially if people pressure the griever to put the death experience behind them and get on with life. Children and teens are still developing their capacities for understanding and coping with life and death. When someone close to them dies, it's a new experience. Most often, they do not have the life skills or coping mechanisms to adequately manage their pain on their own. Because a child's grief experience is unique, we cannot predict how individual children will grieve. A child's developmental stage will affect how they experience and process a death. It is natural for younger children to regress to an earlier stage of development for a period of time. Children may develop fears or nightmares. They may become angry, anxious, clingy, and ask many questions about death. Children move in and out of their grief using play as a way to process their internal and external experience. They may appear sad, angry, or anxious one moment, and then later they are engaged in activity and appear to be having fun. Teens grieve deeply, but often work very hard to hide their feelings. Fearing the vulnerability that comes with expression, they look for distractions rather than stay with the grief process long enough to find real relief. Feelings can be turned on and off quickly, much like flipping a light switch. Teens can act as if nothing has happened while they're breaking inside. There are many factors that impact a child's grief experience. Factors such as their age, maturity, and psychological understanding of death. The history of a child's relationship with the person who died. The circumstances of the death. For instance, whether the death was anticipated or sudden, the age of the person who died, the child's sense of culpability for the death, and the stigma surrounding the death, as well as the number of stressors the child is dealing with at the time of death. The family's religious beliefs are another influence on a child's perception of death. The openness of the family system will also impact a child's expression of grief. A child's ethnic and cultural background, a family's traditions and rituals, and their prior experience with death. So how can adults help? First, a grieving child's perception of their reality is their reality. It is important to meet the child where they are and create a safe place for them to embrace their feelings of loss. What children find helpful is a safe, trusted person who will listen to them. They want to tell their story, share their fears and concerns with an adult who is compassionate and understanding. Children may ask difficult questions. You don't need to have all the answers. You can help by listening and reflecting back what you've heard. If they ask questions you don't have an answer for, it's okay to tell them you don't know, but you will think about it and get back to them. You can ask them what might be helpful, what they need. If they don't know, you can make healthy suggestions, giving them choices. Structure and routine are important during this time of chaos. Consistency helps to decrease a child's anxiety because they know what will happen next. Routines provide a sense of safety, as does open and honest communication. Remember to set limits when necessary. Just because they are grieving doesn't mean rules don't apply. We also want to be aware of and sensitive to trigger events. We cannot always predict what will trigger a child's grief. However, holidays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, birthdays, and death anniversary can create strong reactions in grieving children. Talk about these days ahead of time and discuss what the child would like to do. Be a compassionate listener. We want to normalize and help children learn how to cope with triggers in a healthy way. It is also important to tell the truth use accurate words. Listen without judgment. Talk about the person who died, using their name and sharing memories. Know that you can't take away a child's pain, but you can provide a safe environment where feelings can be expressed and understood. Children are searching for meaning and understanding during this time of change. Anything you can do to validate, support, and educate will help them develop insight and skills to manage the difficult and challenging times. Remember, your children are concerned about you as well. They wonder how you are coping with the loss. They may worry about you and fear you might die. They may not bring up how they are feeling for fear of upsetting you. It is important for you to be open and honest. Invite them to talk about the loss and ask questions. Let them know that it's okay to talk about death, even if you are upset as well. This is part of the grief experience, and you are showing them how to mourn together. Teens often trust only their peers, believing that no one else can understand their feelings and reactions to life's problems. Relationships with friends can be deep and meaningful. However, their peers often lack the skills to support their grieving friend, and a teen can often feel misunderstood and alone. To gain the trust of teens, adults must become non-judgmental listeners. Let teenagers know that you are interested in them, in their views, in their ideas and thoughts. Let them know you like and care for them. Support their ideas or gently introduce new ways to approach an issue. Acknowledge their grief and offer your thoughts on how to ease the pain. Again, open, honest communication is important, and you don't have to have all the answers. It's more important to listen and empathize. If a child or teen experience the following symptoms, it's important to seek professional support and guidance. These symptoms include, but are not limited to, suicidal thoughts or behaviors, chronic health issues, depression with impaired self-esteem, persistent denial of the death with delayed or absent grieving, progressive isolation and lack of interest in any activity, resistant anger and hostility, intense preoccupation with memories of the deceased, taking on the symptom of the deceased, prolonged changes in typical behavior, the use of alcohol or drugs, prolonged feelings of guilt or responsibility for the death, major and continued changes in sleeping or eating patterns, and unsafe, risk-taking behaviors. With the right kind of support, children and teens can reconcile their grief. What does reconciliation look like for a child or teen? A restoring of their self-esteem, a focus on the present rather than the past, the making of new friends and spending time with old friends. School grades will improve. They will be able to give encouragement to others. They will become more verbal about death and feelings without fear of being different. Tears are less frequent. They will be able to feel affection for others. They will return to their normal activities and seek new activities. They're able to laugh again. They will be able to give human qualities to their loved one who died, and they will be able to problem solve and make decisions. If you are concerned about a child or teen, you are welcome to call our grief and bereavement program and speak with one of our grief therapists. The child's pediatrician is also a source of support. Remember, if you are grieving as well, that you take time to care for yourself. A great example of this is the instructions given prior to an airplane travel. In the event of an air loss, apply your own oxygen mask first, then attend to your children. You cannot help your child breathe if you yourself are oxygen deprived. Seek support for yourself so you have it to give to your children. Thank you.